Hey guys, I thought I would do a video here. I redid my pedal board, and there are some design features that I wanted to share with you guys in this video. I've got two pedal boards here, a sub pedal board up top and a kind of a main pedal board on the lower half. I'd like to plan to split this into two videos. This first video I'll be going over the main board, which has all the meat of the pedals that I use on a very consistent basis, and if I can, I'll also post a second one about the board up top, but I have talked about that board in a different video, and really some of the design features are consistent between the two boards, and so some of it would be redundancy. I don't mean for this to be a video about, wow, look at the cool pedals I have. It's not about that. I mean, the pedals I have on here, I admit, are pretty pricey and somewhat kind of coveted pedals, but really that's not what this video is about. I wanted to show you some other things that I think is really important to any pedal board, no matter what your budget is, and some things that you really don't want to kind of skimp on. I mean, when you build something, you want to be able to do it right, and I have to say that it's been a lot of fun to build pedal boards. So I used to have everything on a large, what do they call it? A gator pedal board. And the way the gator boards are designed is it's more or less a flat surface, and with a couple of handles, bar handles on the side, but no room underneath to put a power supply. And that always kind of got me into trouble when I was trying to add pedals. And so I was looking for something that would come with a hard case. This pedal board here does actually come with a hard case. That's standing over there. And I bought that a while ago on sale, and I just never got around to putting it together. So I finally did so. One of the reasons I was waiting to put it together was I was on the waiting list for this pedal here, King of Tone. As you probably know, the King of Tone, it has a waiting list for roughly about a year or more, and I didn't want to shell out the money to get a one from eBay, which I believe undercuts Analog Mike and the wonderful job that he does putting out those pedals, and I didn't want to pay any premium. I mean, the pedal is expensive enough as it is. And the one I wanted did have some design features that were a little bit unique, such as the sides are actually separated on mine. So there's input on the red side, output on the red side, input on the yellow side, output on the yellow side. And in doing so, you might notice mine's kind of wired a little differently, so that I can put the yellow side first, and that's in fact how I have it going right now. So right now, out of the POG, it goes into the input on the yellow side, and then I have a jumper across here from the out of the yellow side to the in of the red side, and then out of the red side, and then into my blues driver. Okay, so just starting the signal chain, I'll just walk you through it really quickly. This is a TU3W Wazacraft tuner. I have it set for true bypass, but one of the reasons why this thing is more expensive and considered to be the custom shop of the Boss tuner line is because it has a better buffer than the TU3, the original TU3, which is also a fabulous pedal. The other reason I like this particular pedal, just design-wise, is that it does have a separate bypass out. So this one here shuts off, so you can use this as a mute switch from here, and this one's always on. So sometimes if you want to switch to another signal chain, the output from here, well then I have this going to well, you'll see it a little bit better later, but there is a what do they call this thing? A patch bay, a one in, one out patch bay that I have kind of taped in here. Actually, maybe it's a good time. Maybe it is a good time to show you. Well, it's kind of dark. Hang on a second here. We'll figure this out. Well, let me just unplug some things for you. So, from my sub pedal board, I'll just detach these items. Okay. High. And the main power supply under here. Okay. Oh, that sucker's in there. That sucker's in there. Okay, alright. Alright, we're free. We're free. Okay. Alright, let's flip this sucker over. Let me show you. So we're looking at the TU3 right now. Okay? We're looking at the TU3 and the output there. That thing's always on. And that's going to, on the underside here. Okay, there's the back of the TU3. And then, as you can see, I have a cable coming out of there and into this one-on-one looper pedal. Okay, and this is made by a company called American Loopers. They're made in America, and I specifically asked them to make this one isolated so that the plugs here are electrically isolated from the box. So if you can tell, it has a black plastic lining there. That's plastic not because it's cheap, but because I need that electrically isolated from here, and I'm trying to avoid any ground loops. So I'm trying to avoid like everything, trying to ground everything, because that can be trouble. So if there's any noise running through this chassis, I don't want it to be picked up here. That's the whole idea of that. Anyway, back to the other side. All right, so again, we're talking about design features here. Design features of the pedal board build itself, not of the pedals. So I attach all my pedals with 3M dual lock. This stuff is the bomb. I love it. It is just crazy strong. Look at this. I'm just picking up my whole pedal board here. It doesn't budge. It's super snug. It's you can rip it off, like it has like 10,000 cycles before the stuff breaks. Sometimes you can go a little nuts and put too much on and end up needing a crowbar to get your pedals off, but I don't like to move them so much. And what's even worse is, and I've had this happen with Velcro, you step on a pedal and the thing flies across the room and you have to go chasing for it. Nobody wants to do that. Stuff keeps it straight, solid, and it's just wonderful. And I can't say enough good things about it. Okay, so I love pedal tape. The 3M pedal tape, that is, the dual lock. Okay, so back to these. So these, all my plugs on this board are made by a company called Evidence Audio. And they do a really wonderful job. So they're all these extraordinarily small. I don't know if you can see. These are the smallest you can get, and they're right angle, so they fit in tight spots, and you can put a lot of plugs right next to each other in small areas. Okay, so there's a great example. I don't think I would have been able to do this arrangement on my King of Tone had it not been for these Evidence Audio cables. So those things were just fabulous. They are a little pricey. They do cost about $8 for each side. Okay, and obviously you need two sides, so that's 16 bucks. And then you do need to use their special solid core wire, which goes for about $2 a foot. So basically that makes each one of these cables about 20 bucks to connect one table to another. So again, expensive, but look, you can save yourself a lot of space. Okay, space is at a premium by packing pedals in tight. Okay, and you don't need to tie these things down so much. They have a they look kind of thin, but actually they have a solid core inside, and it allows you to bend them in a way that they hold their shape. So I can make these kind of S-shaped bends. Okay, L bends here, pretty complicated bends going on here. And really not a lot I need to do. They just hold their shape really well. I mean, you can probably see that's firm. That isn't flopping around. So again, $20 for a cable, kind of pricey, but what you get out of it in terms of fine audio quality, it's not going to move around a lot, which will make it last longer. You can get your pedals nice and tight together on a board. You save space there, perhaps weight. And everyone wants lots of pedals, but nobody wants the space to put them on. So to get everything nice and tight, I don't know what to say, guys. I think that $20 is worth it. Anyway, moving on. All right, so I will talk about this pedal a little bit. This is because I do want to make a shout out to Wilson Effects. All right, this is a kind of an interesting wah pedal. They basically take the guts off of a what is it? The Dunlop Mini wah, and they put an LED on it, and they just soup up the wah pedal, and they give you a couple controls as well. Okay, fabulous wah. I did want to talk about that one because you don't see this one too often. It is incredible. And you can also specify what kind of inductor you want, stack of dimes, all that good stuff. They got it. All right, okay. Anyway, next thing I probably should talk about. All right, I think. Okay, here's another nice design tip. When you do have two like pedals, or so I have two bosses here. This is a you can put them really close together if you use a joiner from one to another. So it's one plug connecting both of those. Okay, so and you can't get any closer than that. All right, and it also gives them a little extra stability. It basically locks those in, so those two are always in unison. Okay. That's the only other connector on here that's not Evidence Audio. I don't know who makes this. It's probably Chinese, but there's not going to be any fidelity lost in here. When you're talking about one solid piece of interconnect, and they're so close together. There's zero room for any kind of loss to happen here, no matter who makes it. So that's just the way it is, folks. All right. What else? So, as you may notice, I also love these large pedals. I mean, obviously the Boss, you can't beat the Boss, but these large pedals, these are made by a company called Barefoot Pedals. I should probably look a little closer to get that right. My apologies to the fine designers over there. They're Barefoot. Sorry. Barefoot buttons. I'm sorry, Barefoot buttons. Okay, yeah, I guess they kind of look like buttons. They come in two styles. One is this kind of thinner one, okay, which I put on the front here. I can't tell you guys how good this feels under your feet. It's just nice. Okay, I would have put the Barefoot buttons over here, but for two reasons. One, it started getting a little close to the other one, and this one's smaller. Now, if you don't want to shell out the money for these nicely machined ones, that's fine. You can buy these ones on eBay for super cheap. They're like, like $3 or $4 for a couple or two of them, or I don't remember. It was cheap. You shouldn't even give it a second thought. These ones, on the other hand, Barefoot buttons, they are definitely machined a lot better than these ones. These ones I had to clean out the threads where they left little shards of aluminum. These ones were just finished beautifully. Okay, I mean, you can also tell the contoured top is just much more comfortable than this flat. So they just put a lot more work into the machining of this. It's a finely machined part. There's no two ways about it. But these are like, I think, $15 for two. So my apologies, that's pretty expensive in my opinion. You can get by with these ones, and again, these ones feel good too. You won't be no misstepping when you're stepping down in these things. It just feels good under the foot. Okay. I had to do the same thing with the cheap ones up here on the Strymon. Why? I don't know if you guys can tell, but can you tell if that's on or off? I can't. It's hard. Plus, again, same problem. They ended up being too close together, and these ones are slightly smaller than the barefoot buttons. Okay, so they just fiddle better. But being smaller, I was also able to read whether or not the light was on or not. Okay, so that was kind of nice. So back to the barefoot buttons. They come in a second style. I think they call this the tall boy. As you can see, it's much higher than these ones, and that's kind of nice because it makes it just stick out a little bit higher. Okay, so on the second row of pedals, all right, I have the shorties down here, and I have the tall boys up here, and that just made it a little bit easier, so I'm not stepping on the controls. Okay, so I got tall boys on all of these. And because I was having a problem with the barefoot buttons covering the lights, you can kind of see at the angle, it's hard to see the lights. I stuck these clear jewel foot pads that you get at Target or any home store. These are meant for, like, you know, pads underneath whatever, something. And what they do is they work like prisms, and I just get a little bit more light that I can see reflected off of here. So I just stuck those on, right on top of the LED that's flat, so it worked there. And so I can see those a little bit better when I'm at this angle. I'd also add that was more of a problem when I was using the very flat gator board, because you know, just the angle. But now with the pedal train, which has the, you know, it's already angled towards you, I can end up seeing these a lot easier, so it's not so much of a problem. Okay, the other thing I wanted to show you before we head to the backside was, oh my god, I just love these stomp shields. Oh, they're the most fabulous. They protect all your settings. I'm not the kind of guy who tweaks settings a lot. I like to keep them basically one place and one place only. So messing these things up is a world of time for me. So I just put them on everything, and I gotta admit, they're kind of expensive. I think a set of the knobs and the protectors, I'll give a side view here too, is about, I think, $25 for 5 of these. And these are machined aluminum, and it comes with a tool, so you can take off the old one. And I got a box full of all the original knobs, and then I put on I put on their knobs instead. So now the only exception to that were the Strymons, because the knob itself is the knob is unfortunately how do I say it? The pot doesn't fit the one that it came with. So actually, it turns out that the knobs of the timeline fit inside of here. Okay, and so what I did was I went to Strymon and I bought extra timeline plugs to put on my Lex. So if you do buy the Stomp Shields, these are also made, I think they're made in America. They're sold out of a guy lives in LA, I forget his name, but Stomp Shields, you can look them up. I believe they also come in a red anodized aluminum. But anyway, I put the timeline ones on here, and they fit perfectly, and they match. So hey, that looks great. Okay, and some of them, I believe on the Strymons, since they don't use a standard pot like everybody else, Strymon has to be different. I had to re-drill the hole so that it fit the thread of the pot. It wasn't a big deal though. So anyway, let's flip over and look at the other side, shall we? Because this side I think is probably my best work on the entire thing. All right, hang on a second here. All right, flipped. All right, okay, here's the back side, guys. This is my favorite part of it. This is where all the power is. So I only have power cables down here. So basically every wire, with the exception of the American looper that goes out, every cable down here is power. Okay, and I am using the Strymon Zuma. I love it. It's so wonderful. I bought the Strymon bracket. So drill a couple holes here, drill a couple holes up there, screw it in, boom, it's all happy. And then what's kind of nice is, I mean, it doesn't look like it, but it doesn't touch here, even though it does stick out kind of far. But I was able to look at how straight this stuff is. I just couldn't believe how well this worked out. Okay, look at how straight it is. And then, you know, you can see that I have each of the cables coming down here. Okay, and then be careful when buying these here, because if it's a cheap one, and I have bought cheap ones before, they'll pop off, and then it's kind of ugly. So these are Gardner Bender ones. Again, probably not so cheap, but unless you glue them on, buy one that has a decent adhesive. So I have, basically I'm pulling all the wires and they're getting more and more. They bend through here, same thing over here, coming down, coming here, joining up big fat cable here with a netting to protect it, and then more power cables coming here. And then you might notice that there isn't a lot of slack here, and that was just kind of an aesthetic design. It's all basically very nicely looping underneath the Zuma. There's just plenty of room here for it all to loop, and then they all just kind of come up, and they all come up here. So I didn't cut any of these cables. They're all just very nicely tucked and looped under here so that it looks so clean. I am actually kind of proud of this side here. Okay. And then this plug here is the 24 volt that powers my subboards. Oh, hi. Okay, and we'll talk about that board at some other time. But anyway, I wanted to show that to you guys. So if you have any questions about anything that I put together, just feel free to ask. And you guys have a good one. Bye.